After the Latin America tour, I went to London for the London Open. I almost got a really good mean, missing I think a sub 30 mean by a close DNF. But the cool thing was that I actually ended up winning. First place at London Open in blind, which was my best ranking of any event at that competition. Then of course, it was Worlds in Paris. I still remembered what I had told Ishan the year before, but of course I didn't really think anything would happen. I hadn't exactly improved to be super world class. I was maybe within the top 20 or something like that in my opinion of the people that were going to Worlds, but definitely not podium material. In the first round of Worlds, I ended up getting a 24.04 single. It was my second national record and I was definitely very happy about it. There was quite a bit to do to improve that solve, as it was a little locky, had some pauses, and I did a few things that weren't very efficient. But nevertheless, it was pretty awesome. I think the second round might have surprised me even more. I got a 25, which was a pretty good time. But what surprised me and impressed me the most was that it was third place. I was third place going into the World's Final for 3x3 blindfolded, an event that I had only really started getting serious about the year before. I could actually have a chance of doing pretty well at the World Championships. Over the last 2 days, getting solves in the 24, 25, 26 range seemed to be getting easier and easier. My memo seemed to have improved a lot, probably because of all the practice that I had done in the past few months. In fact, I think that my memo was getting close to around 10 seconds, which was definitely quite a bit faster than what it had been until very recently. When I was averaging about 30 seconds, I would say that my splits were about 15 memo, 15 execution. But now I was getting maybe 10, 11, 12 memo, and maybe about between 13 and 16 for execution, meaning that I was often getting times that were in the 25 second range. In the final, the pressure was on. I didn't really think that I had a chance of podiuming, but I certainly knew that if I got a good time, there would be a definite possibility. What ended up happening was that I got 3 DNFs in the finals. One of the DNFs, though, was a low 24. It was off by 2 edges because I had not seen that there was a flipped edge in the memo. I was trying to rush it because I knew that if I didn't get a solve that was below my average, I didn't have a chance of podiuming. So I decided to go very fast, memo quickly, because otherwise there was no chance that it could get on the podium. What I ended up getting was certainly a result of my methods. The thing that definitely hurt the most, though, was that the time that I ended up getting on that solve was faster than the winning time of Worlds. When I got it, I didn't think all that much of it because, yeah, it was a 24, but there were many people that were capable of getting low 20 or even sub 20 fairly easily. Then afterwards, when I saw the times, it was really a, coulda, shoulda, woulda moment. If I had gotten those two edges flipped, if I did them in 0 seconds, which obviously was impossible, I would have been the world champion. Now, of course, that wouldn't have happened because doing such a thing would be impossible. But it's still something that can really linger in your head and make you wonder. And now after that, the same sort of stagnancy that happened the year before seemed to be happening again. I was back in school, started a new job that I had to work at the same time, and was extremely busy. Blind, or even cubing altogether, wasn't all that much of a priority for me. I was kept on my toes in all other aspects of my life, and so it was difficult for me to find the time and the energy to put it into cubing. As the winter semester rolled along, though, I started to get a little bit more time as my courses were a little easier, and I was getting used to the new job that kept me busy. Blind once again started to become part of the hang of things. I did compete a few times and unfortunately didn't get any results that I was hoping for. And that pretty much brings us to where I am today. Now, blind is something that I like to do a lot, mostly because I can see actual progression. In other events, it's not really the same, but in blind, I can see that if I practice a lot, my times are improving. And as of late, I've gotten some of my first times sub-world record, and that's definitely a key motivator to keep me going. If I try to practice other events, like one-handed for example, that's not really the case. I've gotten a lot worse lately, and it's partly because of my wrists, but I guess I can talk about that in another video if you'd like. Essentially with blind, I'm learning more every day, and I get to practice a lot. My school semester finished a couple months ago, but since then I have still been busy with a full-time job during the summer. It hasn't let me have as much time as I hoped for, but I still get a lot of time, and I spend a lot of it doing blind. It's definitely one of the events that I've practiced the most lately. Mostly because, as I said, I can see something that happens once I practice. I pretty much know 3 styles for corners, but for edges, I'd say I'm getting there. There are only a few cases that I don't know a relatively efficient way of solving and that I still use M2 for. I use a lot of advanced M2 for many cases, but nevertheless, it is something that I can do pretty fast. My splits, I would say, within the last while, I've definitely improved on my memo. I pretty commonly get a memo that's sub 10, and my execution is still anywhere between 10 and 15, with my good solves being maybe 9 memo and 12 execution or so. I seem to be averaging about 25. My success rate is maybe about 50%. Blind is now one of those events that I actually look forward to practicing. There are of course times where I have a lot of trouble and sometimes I give up just because scramble is so bad or I can't seem to memorize at that one moment. Now my memorization is still definitely the worst part of my solve. I keep trying to improve it, but it seems to be the one that is holding me back from improving even more than I am already. My execution seems to be fairly fast, although I still don't know that many algs, but the way that I see it, it doesn't seem to make all that much of a difference. If you have a good flow and you can turn very fast, using slightly better algs I don't think is what makes a huge difference. Now my old pet peeve of blind solvers not being able to turn isn't quite as relevant today as it used to be. There are a lot, in fact, I'd say that the really fast blind solvers definitely know how to turn. Even though they might not be all that fast at 3x3 speed solve, they can certainly put finger tricks to use in blind. Now that definitely brings down the advantage that I would have had everyone else not been able to turn very well as it used to be. Everyone who's really fast seems to either have switched already or be switching to the UF buffer. Personally, I don't really think that I'll be switching anytime soon. Just because, as I said, I think that memo is the thing that is really holding me back, and that with a fast, smooth turning, it's possible to get execution times that are negligibly slower than if I was using a better buffer. I don't really think that DF is all that bad. Maybe it's just because I don't know enough algs, and maybe I'll see that if I try learning some different algs for the different buffer, maybe I will like it. But for now, I'm going to be sticking with what I know. As for the future, is blind going to be my main event? I don't know. I'm still officially better at one-handed than blind, and I think that it'll stay that way for a little while. I'm going to keep practicing blind because I think that it's fun, but we'll see how it plays along in future competitions. Next fall, if all goes well, I should have a lot of time to practice, a lot of opportunities to improve, and a lot of competitions to attend. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to give you more specific and more detailed news in the coming weeks about that, but I'm very excited for what's hopefully going to be an amazing opportunity and giving me an amazing experience during the fall. And at the same time, I'm pretty sure that that'll allow me to get even better results in blind and maybe even set some kind of a record. That was it for my journey in 3x3 blind. That brings us to where I am now, and that's what I think about everything. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Congrats to you if you were able to stay up till the end. I know that it was a multi-part series and it lasted a long time. Tell me if you like this kind of video. It was a bit of fun to make. It was fun looking back at what I have done and what keeps me motivated. and it was a pretty fun exercise that I would be willing to do with similar things, maybe different events like one hand or something like that. If that's something that it would be interesting for you to hear, then please let me know so that maybe in the future I'll make a similar one for different topics. But till then, I'll see you next time.